We make it through, and I mean, on the whole, I think people are
Her
getting
neighbor
some feedback about it.
on Sunday when woke up not feeling well. She went to the doctor and
Well,
was
my
diagnosed.
grandson, he goes to Hallville.
And she was like, I can't drive all week, so scheduling. And did she take her pills? And I'm like sitting right there with her, like,
All right. Good evening, everybody. Let's see. This is the regular school board meeting for MSAD11 for the let's see. It's Thursday, August 17th, a little after 6:30. Making sure we had a quorum tonight. Let's see. My name's Tony Veet. I'll introduce myself. I'm the vice chair of the board. I'm sitting in as the acting chair tonight. Becky Fless is at a conference for the, sorry, help me out, the National School.
Yes, the National School Board
Yeah.
Association.
There we go. Hey, I was getting there. So she's away and she'll report back, I think, when she does return. So I'll be running the meeting tonight. And let me, sorry, call it. So if we could go around and do introductions, and I'll start.
Diane Potter.
Alyssa Tracy.
Ellen McGough.
Megan Carlson.
Tony Beat again.
Chris McWallen.
Molly Rogers.
All right. Administrative staff, please.
Pat Hopkins, Superintendent.
Karen McGuire, Director of Technology.
Angela Hardy, Director of Curriculum.
Josh Farr, Director of Adult Education.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Now we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This is also the part where we would open the floor to public comment. And seeing none at this time, we'll continue to the next part of the agenda. So prioritization of items and alteration of the established agenda format sequence as needed.
Yes, I have some changes. Let's see, on page 2, under correspondence, we have a resignation from Ashton Williams, boys JV soccer coach at the middle school. We have a resignation from Heather Pierce in Ed Tech 1 special ed at the Pittston Randolph Consolidated School. Then on page 3, we have a new hire, Mark Hoodletz, who is going to be an administrative assistant at Gardner Regional Middle School. Then we have, let's see, another new hire, Derek Session, who is going to be a volunteer football coach, Kristen Prey, volunteer field hockey coach, Haley Chadbourne, a volunteer field hockey coach. Under team leaders, please remove Amy Schnur as a 6th grade Hermitage team leader. Also remove Ashton Williams under fall coaches for 7th grade boys soccer coach. Under nominations, please remove Paula Aldridge for nurse at the Pittston Randolph Consolidated School. And that's it. That's enough for now.
Just a few things. Let's see. So thank you so much, and always just changes to the minute. So we need an approval of the agenda. Could I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Diane, Molly. And any discussion? All in favor of? Great, thank you. And then we'll go to the approval of minutes from previous meetings. So we see as listed regular school board meetings, special school board meeting, and the school board workshop. See, do we need a, could I get a motion for that, please?
Motion to approve the minutes.
All right. Molly and Megan, thank you. Any other discussion? And all in favor? Recognitions and celebrations, moving on. Correspondence as written. Updated committee reports. So let's see, we don't have anything listed for the Capital Area Technical Center.
Yeah, during the summer, a
Sorry,
lot of
yeah.
these committees don't meet.
Item G on that correspondence, sorry, this is not the time to ask, but was that a resignation or a, were these all resignations?
Those are all resignations.
Okay.
Yeah, they should have
Yeah.
said resignation. Thank you.
Good catch. Next, Curriculum Committee from the June 13th meeting.
I'm cheating right now.
You're back up if you need it.
I know it's been so long, right? Yeah, no worries. We called a quorum at the meeting. We were able to present on the 23-24 program of studies modifications that we needed to make. That's something we do every year. And then we talked about the ESEA federal funds and the dashboard that the state had sort of sprung on schools and where we fit in that mix. Angela shared with us the state accountability report, which was from that dashboard. And then we adjourned and we're not meeting again till September because we usually wait till after we have this meeting and another. So anything else?
We did review our academic achievement data
There
from
it
the
is.
spring
Thank
and how we fared against our annual goals.
So anyone who really wants to dive into that meeting would have been recorded and is available
Yeah,
on our
exactly.
website.
It's very informative.
All the
I'm
data.
sure you would love to see all the data.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and always, yeah, love to actually see the data. And I think I wasn't able to attend that meeting, but I think you do a great job of telling a story. Yeah, telling a story with it, and it's a great perspective on where we're at as a district. Thank you. Let's see, Dropout Prevention Committee, no meeting. Finance Committee, no meeting. Policy Committee, no meeting. We do have. So we have no first readings. We do have a set of policies presented for a second reading. And let's see, I'd anticipated, so I'm the policy chair. I'd anticipated handing that off to another policy committee member if to make the motion, so I'm not making the motion.
I don't know if there's anyone else there. You're welcome to make the motion or.
Yeah. So I would move, that we can, that we accept the policies as listed for their second reading. Two of those are rescissions there at the end. KBF E1 and E2 are being replaced by KBF. So I'll move that if I could have a second. Thank you, Colin. Any discussion?
We cannot
Oh,
vote
we can't vote. Oh, sorry.
until Diane
Yeah.
returns because we don't have a quorum.
Thank you.
So if we just want to kind of move on and then we'll
Sure.
come back to that.
Yep. Student rep report. Don't have any over the,
Yeah, is she okay?
yeah. It's all right.
Maybe
Yeah.
Angela? Wait, do you?
Yeah, thank you.
Angela? Maybe? And administrator reports, those won't begin until September or October.
Yeah.
As a reminder, generally, we don't ask building administrators to be here in August. And I would also say in years past, we sometimes don't ask them to be here in September. They're pretty busy with open houses and everything else, trying to get ready for the start of school. So if you guys don't mind, I'll take a look at September's agenda. When we meet to set the agenda, we can kind of make a determination as to whether they are needed or not. Okay. And yeah,
Great.
wellness committee.
October's fine.
I was gonna say, don't
I'm
push
okay
it.
with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There isn't gonna be much to report after 2 weeks of September, so
Yeah.
I'm fine if you just push it to October.
And
Okay.
should we,
all came.
They all arrived.
I was gonna say, and
Yeah.
is it helpful if they don't have to come to the September meeting?
It is, if you don't mind, but I'd
Yeah.
like to look at the agenda.
Okay.
If there are items on the agenda that they need to be
They might-
present,
Yeah,
then we'll handpick, kind of like we have a
Okay.
couple administrators here tonight, 3 administrators,
yeah,
because there are items in which we need to have them speak to you on.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a good call too. Yeah.
now we can go back to
Thank-
policy.
Thank you for your direction, as always. Quick review, we had a motion from me and a second from Cullen accept the second reading of policies as listed. If we had any discussion, I'd be happy to do that. We were waiting for you because we.
Oh, that's sweet of
because we
you.
need to- and are you okay?
Yeah, I'm at the end of a cold and I think I'm fine and then all of a sudden it starts, you know.
Yeah, dries out or.
Thanks for your solicitations.
Yeah, certainly, yeah. So if there is no further discussion, all in favor of accepting those second reading for those policies? Thank you. And then, so yeah, no student rep, the admin not for the summer, and wellness committee, no meeting. The ad hoc committee,
Hopefield, I will do that in conjunction with Gabe, since Gabe is here. The wall has been installed, correct?
Okay, well, it's still in progress.
Okay, it is
The
in progress.
footing concrete was poured 2 days ago. They are hopefully tomorrow, depending, weather's been a big factor. With concrete, it needs to be pretty good weather, so they're gonna try to get the forms all set tomorrow and pour the concrete for the wall portion of it tomorrow. That's their,
Yeah, we've been, it's been 2 weeks, like this is the week, this is the week, this is the week. The rain really has
Yeah.
pushed back our ability to get that installed.
it has, so, I mean, if you go over there, you'll see it, we've moved things a little bit, we've talked, we met over there, Pat, myself and Nate, and we're actually gonna move the ticket booth within the fence line, so we're gonna move things around to kind of tighten up the gate entrance. People have been using that to drive through because the other gate's closed. So they're like, oh, we'll just use that as a drive through. So I really don't want that, especially once the wall is up. So we're gonna move the ticket booth into the gate area to make it about a 6-foot opening. Instead of now, it's about 9 feet wide. So it'll just change things around. So we moved the wall a little bit and yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, by Monday it'll be there and we'll be able to strip the forms off.
But we had hoped that it would be complete for the start of the football. Clearly, that's not gonna happen. Gabe has been able to secure a mason, who will be able to secure the plaques. We've held off ordering the plaques because we don't want to have them on hand and then have them break, right? If they're in storage for too long. So Nate is trying to finalize all of the inscriptions on the plaques, finalize those so that we can get them here once the wall is all done,
Right.
once the mason has time in his schedule, right? It's all of these things,
Yeah,
so that we can have those
Yeah,
installed.
Brooks R Us we've gone back and forth and sent proofs to make sure the bricks and plaques are the way we want them. So there's no issues once they arrive.
awesome.
Work in
It's
progress.
progress.
It is
Right.
progress.
It's- It'll show there's progress towards an end goal.
Yep.
That's the key.
Yeah, excellent.
And Nate's golf cart can still fit through.
You'll have to use the other gate.
He'll have to use the other gate. Everybody's using the other, other gate.
Get him a bigger horn, we'll be fine.
Great. Yeah, glad to hear. Moving ahead to new information, general information, we have new hires as listed.
Right, we have new hires, we have staff transfers, we have department heads, we have co-curricular, we have coaches. I mean, this is right, how many pages? 3 pages of just that sort of information for you.
If I may ask a question, I know maybe to me, some of the resignations weren't known maybe, so we have additional job postings, I assume we're gonna have, as in addition to the list we already have.
Yes, potentially,
Okay.
especially like the ed tech
Yeah,
positions. I think
okay.
we had another ed tech position open yesterday.
Yeah.
But if you look at the packet or the sheet that we sent you in your packet, it's fairly current.
Yeah.
You know, it does include the music teacher, for
Okay.
example.
Yeah.
So this was updated, I think, Thursday of last week.
I remember
so-
seeing it out. Yeah. Okay, good. Do you want to do them as a whole bundle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of the nominations, we
Yeah,
don't
to-
need the others.
Yep.
So yeah, so the nominations are then as listed. And then actually to Alyssa's point, then are we posting for the nurse?
No, that is a unique situation in which the family has requested that they receive nursing services through an organization versus through the school. By doing that, they're able to have nursing coverage, school vacation weeks, summer, times when we're not in session. So it benefits the family greatly by going with that organization versus the school employing the nurse. So we will be paying like an hourly rate for that instead. But it's a huge benefit to the family.
That consistency, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Was this a secondary nurse?
No, that was going to be, the school nurse was going to be with one student. So they'll go with an agency instead.
But does the school have a nurse?
Every school has a nurse. This
Okay,
was
this was in
above and
addition to the
beyond,
school nurse.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And so I might have jumped into this discussion here. So we have the nominations as listed. Could I get a motion to accept?
Yeah, motion to accept nominations.
And second?
Second?
Yep, Megan. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? So into new business.
Yes, the first item on the list is the interlocal agreement for shared adult and community education. You've heard from Josh on this matter 2 or 3 times. I know he's been to finance, it's been presented there. He was at a board meeting not too long ago, I think it was in the spring. And we indicated that it was moving forward. But there was still the agreement that needed to be worked on, and that we needed to run the agreement by attorneys just to make sure that everything was in order, and that has been done. So Josh, and if you want to get up to the podium, kind of remind everyone what is in that agreement, and you all received a copy of that agreement in your packet.
The electronic package.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I won't go, I think I've explained why, but before, so the agreement basically establishes an advisory committee as the first piece, which is pretty important, between 3 districts, MSAD11, Winthrop Public Schools, and RSU2. That advisory board consists of 3 people from each district, which would be a superintendent or their designee, a community member, and a board member. So that there's like the intent is to meet quarterly. And obviously with the beginning, there might be a little more attention to some things like budget and stuff like that that has to be done. But that's the first piece that it does, which is pretty exciting for me to have folks, community folks be able to provide input and to be able to connect with them on a regular about what I'm doing. It outlines the responsibilities for each of the districts. Currently, we have a budget and Winthrop has a budget and RSU2 has a budget for adult education. And that part of my salary in this agreement is outlined to be invoiced to that budget in Winthrop. we weren't sure, as this was all going, whether or not the budget would pass or how it would go in RSU two, pass without any real opposition. It was pretty well received, and so they do have a budget, and so we can also do the same thing with them now to that. So it brings in additional funds of about $35,000. So, and that's kind of their step in to start. That's not necessarily where they'll end up being. But so it outlines some of those, asks everybody to kind of share responsibility for adult learners is really what it does. And it opens the door for us to develop a one budget that would be managed through MSAD11. And then to set a cost sharing formula and how that would be figured. And I'm trying to think if I missed anything. Those are the big ones. A lot of legal stuff about, you know, how it end, if we want to end it, and when does it have, you know, when does a budget have to be proposed, which is, you know, by the end of this year. So it makes a little more work for me this semester, and then I have to get a whole new budget together. But it has to ultimately go to the state and get approval. I have been in contact with the state. They already have had a copy prior to the lawyers and after, so should be pretty quick. What the adult ed director at the state tells me. Discusses how you could withdraw from this, or we could end this if it's not working out. And I think that is pretty much, and it gives me access to all facilities, so.
That's what I was just looking
that was
at.
the other piece.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the other piece, is that, you know, we could be working over in RSU two on occasion if we need to, or if I go over to meet with students there, so.
And you and your committee have come up with a proposed name for this collaborative.
Yes, we had several suggestions, and I put those out to the ad hoc committee for a vote. Not everybody voted, but of the votes, it was pretty close. We only had one that didn't vote for this name. There were some good names in there, so there were some not so good ones. The one I initially had, I know, you know, I liked it, nobody else liked it. It happens. So the interlocal agreement is for Kennebec Neighbors Adult Education.
Did everybody get their
I
Kennebec
was just-
Neighbors
I almost
Adult
brought it with me.
Education
Okay.
book in the mail?
Okay.
Yes.
This has been a great week. Your catalog isn't supposed to come this week.
Well, we got it.
I was gonna say,
I was like, oh, yeah, we're using the new name
I don't know,
now.
well, some people got it, and, right, and at the very least, the catalog is an issue of, with the timing. I had to make the call, we did the catalog together, and really, the only enrichment is happening between Winthrop and Gardner, and I know the director in both places, so we can do the catalog together pretty easily. If you vote this down and I can back off of it, you know, that's always a possibility.
no, it's funny because I got it too, and I was like, this is different. I need to read that. And I almost brought it with me
Yeah.
tonight, but.
So yes, so the catalog is apparently out. The other snafu is that we're locked out of our website.
Oh.
Brainstorm, which are the folks who host for all of adult ed, and
Yeah, that whole thing, yeah.
they created a new page for us, but now none of us can get into it to edit it. So today, phone was off the hook this morning, people calling in, I want to
Yeah.
do this program, I want to do that. And the website is not, I can't get on the website, it's blank, there's nothing there. I'm like, why do you have your catalog? And,
No
oh yes, I know
website.
my website, I've been working on that day after day, trying to get it.
I hope it's not a IT's fault. I'll be quiet.
But if you, the catalog should be available online next week for folks to register. So it's not yet available, so that was a little bit of a crazy.
I think this is great. The document that you prepared is so thorough.
Those
Is
lawyers-
that a motion, Megan?
Yes. I make a motion to approve your wonderful document. I love this
second it.
idea. Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
Right, we're self-sufficient, Tony.
Yeah, just.
Just get
You
it
know what
done.
you're doing. Any further discussion about this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Great.
Can-
Awesome,
can-
thank
can I-
you.
Can I actually have a question about the cover? Legends Learn Here? Is that Bigfoot with the camera getting fine arts credit?
yes,
Uh,
yes, absolutely.
It is. It
So-
really is.
And it is AI generated.
Wow.
It is
Oh,
so,
that ties it all together.
So cool.
it's captivating.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a graphic design artist who has been spending quite a bit of time with Midjourney AI,
Yeah.
which does artwork. And so he's become really good at writing scripts. And so I said to him, can you put Sasquatch taking pictures along the river? And he said, yeah. And then he sent several options and then he has tweaked it over the last couple months.
That's great.
So I wanted to grab some attention and make a
I think
splash.
so. I think you did a good job because I saw it right in front of my door where my mail slot is. And I was like, oh, yay, the catalog's here. And it's got a cool picture and a new name.
Yeah.
So I think,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of a nerd like that.
So everybody, I mean, every adult ed program puts like flowers or field or sunset or leaves in the
Yeah.
fall. And I was like, okay, I want something that somebody's gonna like stop, pick up. So,
Good job.
Yeah.
Great.
excellent, thanks. And so, here's the agreement, Pat. I hand it over to you. This is signed by the other two.
Yeah, hand that over to me and I'll get that
Hanging
back
on
to
to
you.
it, secure and we guess.
I'll hand that back to you next week.
Yeah.
So, and you're good. You don't have to stay if you don't want.
Good to see you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So then we have Gabe, who has joined us to help provide the board with an update on the summer facility repairs.
Oh, I bet this is
So,
exciting.
Gabe, would you?
take the podium too?
Yes, please.
All right. We've been busy this summer, absolutely. I will start off, I'll just go school by school. High school. If anybody's walked in there, you'd see definitely a difference. The floors are not done, but the abatement of the asbestos floor in cafeteria, the H section, admin section, and the little gym area is complete, so the abatement's done. They have their prep work completed for the floor. We were hoping to have started the flooring about 2 weeks ago, but with most things, supply chain issues have plagued us and quite a few other people, especially during the summer. So the flooring came into their shop in Lewiston today, so they're hoping to start tomorrow on the floor.
Nice.
And that is a plus. They're gonna start in the cafeteria, so at least we have a cafeteria done. They're working actually, they're gonna do nights, weekends, and push through and get the flooring completed. They have told me it will be done before the start of school. Some of the code base may not be completely installed everywhere, but those are the things we can do after students are out after 2:30 and get in there and just do some code base in the building. So that's at the high school. That was the big project for the summer. We were planning on doing a roof section. As everybody knows, it has been pretty much the wettest summer on record for a long time. So roofing contractors have really struggled, and Genie Roofing that we have on contractors of the roof, they are so backed up. So they asked us if we could do it during a vacation break. They can do it during the winter, so we could even plan on doing it over Christmas break. That gives them plenty of time to do the roof section. And again, it still will be weather dependent. If we get a really cold snap and it's below zero, then they won't be able to do it. But it would just be pushed off again to the next February or April. It will be in the school year. So we will get it done. It was kind of out of our hands. So still on schedule, it will get done, just didn't happen this summer. Definitely didn't. A few other things at the high school, we've run into a couple heat pump issues. The admin section has the heat pumps that were put on during the large energy upgrade that we did. A couple of those heat pumps have been down, so we've had some issues with those, trying to troubleshoot and get those back up and running. One of them is hopefully will be reinstalled next week. So that we'll be back to having full air conditioning in the area, which should be good. My guys have worked around the flooring operation, so they've done really well. It's been tough trying to get equipment from one end of the building to the other, and especially when they couldn't go through the building. So really worked around that. We did a complete rescreen and refinish of the gym floor. So that is all complete. You walk in there and it's nice and bright and shiny and looks really nice for the start of school. We're hoping to get a new screen up that Terry has purchased. That should be up in 2 weeks or so, we're hoping. Fingers crossed. So we'll get a new screen there in the gym. So that'll be nice to get that installed.
Headlight, audio, visual.
Pro AV.
Oh.
It's going to be really a benefit in that gymnasium. It has needed a screen in there for some time.
We've been using boat wrap.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
And
God.
we've experimented on a number of things in that gymnasium, and the boat wrap didn't work either. So it'll be nice to have a real screen for the projector unit down there for sure. For all of this, it'd be great.
Nice.
Something that we ran into at the very beginning of summer, I'm sure a lot of people maybe have the same problem on their lawns, the grub problem that
Oh my gosh,
the
so
area's
bad.
had. It's been quite a struggle. We had a company come in, actually it's the same company that does all our sports fields, came in and did spraying for all the grubs. Before that, we had to replant, reseed, do a complete restoration of quite a few areas. We actually had it here at the superintendent's office too, all up front and down the side lawn. It was across the district. It was terrible this year.
It'd been like my house and just bring in more skunks and that
I
takes
was
care
gonna
of
say,
it.
just let the skunks come and dig up your yard all night long.
It really was, it cost the district about $5,000 to have them come in and spray after school is out, just for grub control. We're hoping that with the spraying and the replanting, we have better luck next year, but we're on a program for at least the next couple of years until we can get through this. The big piece, we do not want it to spread to our sports field.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
If it really spreads to the sports fields, that can really affect field conditions. So that's what we really don't want. We're hoping it really, what we're doing is going to work and mitigate the problem. That's pretty much it for the high school. Just regular maintenance. The floors have been all redone. Everything's going well. There's been a lot of staff moves here and there. So that's pretty much it for the high school. Middle school, it's been pretty much just custodial work that's been done there. We do have some window repairs that we've been doing. We have a heat pump install that actually is taking place next week for the learning lab upstairs that we've been trying to get done for a little bit. So that's going to happen next week. Today, they started in the school. We did a complete audit of all the doorknobs because we had quite a few doorknobs that were malfunctioning. It's the age of the school. And most of them are original to the school, even though they've been rekeyed. The components are within those handles are original. So it's mostly all classrooms. So we are actually doing 13 knob replacements. They were so bad we could not even repair what was wrong. So they started today replacing all those knobs, rekeying them all. So they'll have it was pretty much the 7th and 8th grade wing, where the 6th grade wing is newer. Those were not as bad. Those they could do some repairs. So most classrooms will have new knobs for the start of school. Also, we found door closers So those will be repaired too. On some of the exterior doors that we found were some issues. So by mid next week, that'll all be taken care of and done over at the middle school. Other projects there that we're looking to do, we're hoping to do. I'm sure everybody has seen the overgrown retaining wall area in the front of the middle school. With all of this heavy rain, we've had some major washouts. If you look down, there's a lot of sand that's there. Because of the water coming off the roof, we've had such heavy rains, it's actually moved part of the bank down. The retaining wall that's there is fine, that's all structurally fine, but now it's undermining underneath of the erosion control fabric. So the water's just raging down underneath it. So it's time, we really need to go in there and rip all that out. We have a couple proposals to do it, it's just a matter of, it's not something that was planned on in budget, but it's getting to the point where it's getting to the point where it's an emergency that we need to fix it. I'm just worried if it puts too much pressure on the wall, it'll end up pushing the wall out, and that'll cause even more problems, more money. So
The problem is it's like a $30,000 price tag.
it is.
Like excavation and.
Right,
Yeah.
so it's not
It's a very
cheap.
hard area to get to because the retaining wall on the bottom, if we pull the material from the top, it puts even more pressure and they're worried that it's gonna ruin the wall, and then we have a wall replacement. So the machinery they need to actually kind of scoop up the hill and do a lot of it by hand under the solar panel.
Yeah.
So it's labor intensive. So that's why the price tag. But the idea is to completely take all the vegetation out, put all new erosion control fabric, new stone, and then also on the top, do a diversion for the water that comes off the roof. So it makes it way down to the catch basin instead of having all the water sit against the bank and work its way down. So it'll be diverted onto the side.
So that was supposed to go to finance.
Yeah, it's supposed to go to
Finance doesn't
finance.
meet till next month. But again, we became aware of the situation after the budget was built. It's always that way. So we'll have to figure out how to proceed.
That's a future project, but we definitely need to.
Need to do it sooner than later, but it will be coming up. So we thought we would put it on your radar, so you're aware of it.
Will that fix be ready for this level of rain or whatever?
That's,
This is
so,
a 50-year rain or whatever, but
right, so that's why we've looked at re-diverting the water differently.
yeah.
If we keep getting these storms, they seem like, the storms are getting more severe. Where we get 2 to 3 inches of rain in an hour. And it just can't handle it. It cannot handle it, and I really feel that's why it has slid down, and it's the days and days of rain. It's saturated, the water can't go anywhere, it can't filter down through the ground, so it's pushing it out underneath the fabric. And if we divert it off to a catch basin that's existing off to the side of the wall area, the idea is to get the water pushed away instead of pushing down on the wall. Yeah, so that's our hopefully 1,000-year flood solution.
But you'll hear more about it, and we will be bringing it
Right.
to policy with a proposal.
Yep.
We have like 3 proposals that we received.
LER, what have we done over at LER?
Cafeteria
Again, a lot of custodial work. The cafeteria floor is, will not be done for the start of the school. Again, it's plagued because of the same flooring issue we had at the high school. It's the same color floor. So of course that didn't come in. We have the same flooring in other parts of the school, so we're gonna make sure it matches the same color. So the same thing that was delayed at the high school, it's the same color. So kind of coming in on the same shipment. So it will not be done for the start of school, but we were really hoping we can get it over Thanksgiving break. There's a good window of time right there. It's not that big of a cafeteria, so we can pull the floor out with the new flooring. So that's the hope for that. We've done a lot of painting over there. That school and Riverview, they are plagued with paint issues at those buildings. When the buildings were originally done, something to do with the paint adhering to the walls. It never did. So there's a lot of peeling paint. So we've done a lot of painting over there. Will, our new custodian, has taken on a lot. And he's done a lot of work outside also. They planted some flowers up front to kind of beautify the school, some flowers, crushed stone around the edges. So we've done a lot of those small projects instead of bigger project in the school. So we've kind of taken on a lot of the small pieces, which it really does look nice. It does. And we're gonna start working, doing the same things down to Riverview. We've already started on the painting down there. We're gonna do the crushed stone down at Riverview. So we're kind of those two schools were built close to the same time. So the same components that seem like one goes and the other one goes. It's pretty much, they coincide right together. So when we find a problem at LAR, it usually pops up at Riverview within the same year or the next year. So it's the same sort of issues. Because LAR last year had new windows. They've had a couple warranty replacements on those, but no real big projects, just regular PM work that we do pretty much every summer. And the same down at Riverview, we've gone through same thing, new windows, a couple warranty issues, just PM work on mechanicals down there. And really just some outside work. We just today did some concrete work on the steps. Concrete down there is getting pretty rough. It's been there for 30 years. So it's definitely needs some work. So we'll keep picking away at that. Helen Thompson is the big one. We've done a lot of work out there this summer. They had heat pumps that were being replaced in the ceiling. It's not all of them, but it's a good portion of them. There's about a dozen heat pumps being replaced out there. Siemens been in and out of the building all summer doing all that work. Reducting them, new heat lines to all of them, new electronics. So there's been a lot of work. They're almost complete. They have another probably 2 to 3 days to finish up over there. And then those units, we've already tested them. They've been up and running. So they're running properly. They just need to do a little work on the condensate lines. The only other part of the project that needs to be finished on that after these couple days, they're installing a couple speed drives for the heating loop flow. So that'll need to be put on just to be able to fluctuate the flow speed instead of the pumps always running 100% all the time. It's a huge power drain. And this will definitely save us some money by varying the speed on those.
And just as a reminder, those heat pumps are being paid for out of federal dollars. They were out of ARP. And I don't remember, it was like a $400,000 repair or something.
Yeah, this is the first. There's one other portion that we're hoping that we can get in for next summer with some of the additional money that's left over. For the heat pump piece. There's one section.
Do you think we'll see any meaningful reduction in utility bills because of those heat pumps, or is it just kind of offset?
They're pretty much swap outs. We may see some, partly because of the speed drives. And some of it is that they're newer units. These units here, they can run at a lower flow, so that's why they're looking at doing speed drives. If they don't need flow through them, they have valves that close off. So it lessens the wear and tear on the units. So hoping these units will have better life expectancy also, so that may be a cost reduction in the future. May not see it in the short term, but in the long term, I would think so.
Because there's like 16 of them, right? That number sticks in my head. In the building or something.
In the building, there's about 40 of them.
Oh, okay, even more than I thought. Woo.
Yeah, this is, like I said, this is just a portion of them.
Yeah.
They're almost 30 years old.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. These are, again, original.
But they're not like the heat pumps that you would have in your house.
Right,
These
the
are
heat pumps
all in
that
the.
most everyone have are air source heat pumps. These are water source. Similar to what you would do with a geothermal system, but this one's just, this system's kind of it was new for its time back in the 90s. So that's part of.
Going back to the 90s.
Yeah, that's part of the problem why we need to switch them out. They're obsolete. Yeah, it was time. We were very lucky to get the years out of them. We did. Everyone that I've spoken to, most of those components are 15 to 20 year life expectancy. I know nothing lasts as long as it used to.
No.
It's like buying a refrigerator. You're lucky to get 5 years out of a refrigerator anymore. So it's the same. It's just like that. It just, things don't last as long as they used to, and it's just
Subscription, yeah.
makes it tough for us in the district for
One day
sure.
it's gonna go.
Yep.
So that takes us to Pittston.
Yeah, so the only other thing at Helen Thompson, we did do another portion of the siding. So I thought we were all done completely. There was one little side. I know that.
And that entryway was already done before school.
Yeah, the entryway was done before school.
Yeah.
The only other section that hasn't been done
I've
is
never
the
seen
very
so many
north side
faces in one
where
meeting.
the
Dave.
kitchen entrance is, which nobody ever sees. So I think that's why we never looked at it.
Okay.
There is one, it's a smaller section, so hopefully.
Check.
We meet
Sure, it's-
monthly and that's usually like, okay, what's the siding situation?
Yeah, what
that's
is
all
this?
done. Yeah, that's all done over there. Everybody got their wood chip deliveries today for all the
Nice.
playgrounds, so that's good, so they can beautify the playgrounds. We've been mowing like crazy, pretty much everywhere.
Every time it rains.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so, and the Boys and Girls Club, if nobody has gone over there to look at the new field, it's all lined now for soccer.
Yeah.
Soccer nets out there, it's looking really, really nice, it is, nice little field. So Pittston.
Oh God, I'm ready.
I like how the
I know, wait,
combined elementary school, it
So-
just happens to be on the same agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I may actually, since Gabe is here, maybe
Sure.
we'll talk about that before, that way he can leave and he doesn't have to stay for any
oh
more.
yeah.
Yeah, so Pittston, we've had some issues at Pittston this summer. At the very end of the school year, we noticed a water leak, and to try to figure out where the water leak, it took a little time. We kind of band-aided it until school was out and got everybody through school and students were out. That was the first kind of project we dove into. We actually had the water district come in to see if they can figure out where it might be coming from, because we could hear water running. We just couldn't figure out where. They looked at the monitor and he's like, yes, there's no water on, but water is flowing. And we've looked at our bills and we've noticed it's slowly, progressively been creeping up and up and up and up the usage. And it's not just because we've added modular classrooms or anything like that. This is something we're like, okay, there's an issue. So we found a spot in the two bathrooms that are down in the main hall. There's a girls' bathroom and a boys' bathroom. There's a cinder block wall with a space in between, where back when they built the building, they came up with the main water line from the boiler room, which is below ground. So all of these pipes are underneath the slab, under the ground, and they come up and they branch off to do the main bathroom. There was a leak right there in the pipes where they came up through the floor. We're noticing where the copper lines come up through the floor, they're in a sleeve, but they're all corroding where that transition is coming out of the floors. So we jackhammered that whole area, we cut a section of the floor out, we got to the spot, we were able to isolate where it branches off and fix one of the leaks there. We thought we had everything fine, it didn't. By doing and fixing the leak, it shut off water to one classroom, we ran a new line overhead, up through the ceiling and down to the classroom. Everything was fine for a day. And I don't know if it's potentially because it put more pressure on the system, because we fixed one leak, it's not leaking there anymore. But another leak sprung in another classroom. So we went to that classroom again. That one is underneath the sink, comes out of the floor. It's the same sort of scenario as the other spot. Every spot where it's transitioning out of the floor, it's completely corroded just in the floor section. So we have to cut a section of the wall, and it's all cement block, cut the section of the floor out, and it's concrete that's been there for 40
Yeah, nobody knows there's a basement there either.
Or
People
60
don't
years,
believe you
no
that there
basement,
is.
it's on a slab.
On the slab, yeah.
So that section, we got really lucky and we were able to, believe it or not, sleeve a piece of PEX piping, PEX water line inside the existing pipe
Wow.
to come up into the bathroom and reconnect there and connect to that. So it's a smaller size line, but at least we were able to take care of the leak because the leak's below ground in that one.
Good thing.
Every one of these other classrooms has the same sort of sink in it, the same
Yes.
sort of copper
Yeah.
lines under the floor. My concern is it's going to keep just working its way down the hall.
Totally.
Yeah.
The pressure's moving down the line like.
Right, we keep
Yeah, right.
fixing one.
Yeah.
And potentially there could be others that are leaking under the ground, but it's below slab level and it's just leaking into the dirt. And we're not noticing it and it's not big enough as of right now, we can't even get to it.
Yeah.
So,
Does it make sense to do some, preventive, repair? Right?
so I know, for the problem is it's all below ground and we don't know exactly where the lines run under the slab. It looks like these two classrooms, we got lucky, but the other ones, it seems like they go into the ground and they just tee. So we can't just sleeve another
Oh.
piece of pipe through because it tees off somewhere and we're not gonna get around to 90. This one here, it was one loop over and that was it.
Did you happen to ask the town, because I know they regulate like your water usage, then that's what they use for sewer usage, so you're not getting a double whammy on the bill?
So we can talk to them.
Yeah, because I'm just
Potentially.
thinking out loud,
It's-
people have said that, they don't necessarily come read anything, they just look
Right,
at
they
your
just go
water
off the water
usage
bill,
and
I'm
double
sure.
it, and I'm like, how does that
I
work?
hope they don't do that. I
Yeah,
filled the
like in
pool.
Randolph, they do it, I know, because my neighbor like filled her pool, and she's like, they
Same.
told me to buy a filter, and then they don't charge me for that, I'm like, okay. I was like, I'd never heard that before,
I know.
yeah,
So that is something we can talk to them for
Yeah.
sure.
man, what a mess, huh?
So
Hmm.
we're gonna need to look to see, so we know we can get to the pipe where it comes out of the floor in the gang bathroom, and we know where it comes into the boiler room from the street. We're probably in the future, probably very near future, going to have to look at piping water lines in the school overhead instead of through the floor and come down the hallway where it has drop ceilings, we can go through, and then when it goes into the classrooms, it's open ceilings, not drop. So we would see some piping exposed. But at least we can keep water to the classrooms. If something happens in the short term where we do have to close water off to the classrooms, we would have to use bubblers. Water fountains like we did like at Helen Thompson when we had the PFAS, which we do have those units. We could use those. It would be a cost to the district to buy water. That may be something we have to look at. As a short term, if this does have some sort of catastrophic failure. Because I think we fixed it to the point where we can fix it in-house. It's gone, if one other failure happens, it's beyond what we can fix. Yeah.
Is getting water to the classrooms a regulatory requirement, or is it just a nice to have? Like, if you had to shut it down and just cut off the water in the
Yeah.
classrooms, can we still operate at that point?
Yes, I mean, so as long as we do have water in the school, there's water fountains. These just they don't feed bathrooms. They only, if we had to shut the water down, it would feed the teacher's bathroom and the main office. That would be a piece we would have to look
Which
to
is the
see.
nurse's office.
Nurses, nurse's bathroom.
That would be a problem.
Yep.
But no, you are not required to have water or bathrooms in every single classroom. There is a requirement to have it in pre-K, to have it in kindergarten. You need to have those bathrooms, of course,
Just to be clear,
absolutely.
I couldn't imagine asking teachers to not be able to clean up or have
But
water access,
absolutely,
but would we have to like literally shut the door if that came to pass?
no, there is
Yeah.
no requirement from the state of Maine Department of Education, but you're right, it would really hamper the work of our staff if they didn't have access to water in their classrooms.
And could very likely implicate other
Yeah,
areas.
Yeah, it would, art room, They wouldn't have water for the sink in there.
And
Yeah.
essentially, this is inevitable going to happen at some point.
I feel, yes, that's
And it could be this school year. It could be when
Potentially.
we get back to school.
absolutely,
Yeah,
potentially.
because we don't have other people using all the
Yeah, once they
things.
start using it.
Yes.
I know, it's a hope for the best.
Again, this all occurred after our budget was
Yeah.
passed, approved, and we don't have a big contingency to cover. I have no idea what kind of money we're even talking about.
I'll be honest, we haven't even brought in somebody to take a look at it. It will be a major undertaking to do
It's
it.
like sonar and the whole deal. Yeah.
Any sense why it's happening now, like why that?
I think it's old. Each spot where we have jackhammered around and cut that section out, they are very corroded. They are, the piping they use, it's a soft copper, it's a rolled copper line instead of, which you would see in your home as like solid 10-foot pieces of copper and with fittings. This is a rolled out copper that they used under the ground. It was probably easier for them to use at the time, I'm sure. And that's why we were able to sleeve that one, because it was just a swoop over, but I'm not sure if all the rest of it further down line is. It looks like some of them we've looked at, they're solid copper that's coming out, it's 1/2 inch, so I think they converted or changed over at some point in time.
It makes me think, is this is our oldest building, right? Pittston Randolph.
Yeah, I think it was built around the same time as the high school, I believe. I would have to
So
look
the
at
high
it.
school opened, I think, in like 1963, right?
Yeah,
62?
62 for the high school, so it's around the same
Yeah.
age. The main building, there may be that main section that's the oldest piece. That is the one building we have no floor plans, we have no plans for. We have searched everywhere in district and we've never found anything.
Do you have any concerns with your staff working on stuff safety wise or anything? Any of that you've seen? I mean, it's not
No.
lead pipe or
No,
whatever, so.
it is, it's copper.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's copper. We didn't see anything to be concerned of.
Yeah.
It's just, it's deteriorating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously reacting with the concrete that's there. And once it starts leaking, it's pinning through and
Yeah.
it's tough.
There's no mold or anything gnarly. like
No, this is, so especially bathroom, it was all tile floor. And the one thing, it's all cement block walls. So as they build the cement block wall, all the water they use drops into the wall. And so there's about that much solid concrete
Yeah,
inside the
right,
wall at the
right.
bottoms. And that's where it's all encased around it. Part of the reason why it's so hard to get in there and fix, because you're trying to cut through. If it was just a hollow block wall, it would have been easy, but it's through the mess of mortar and concrete, and then the floor it's been cured for 50, 60 years, it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to get through.
Yeah.
So it was been a challenge.
In my dim knowledge of construction, I'm thinking, is this something would roll into our discussion of a new elementary school?
So, yeah, I think since Gabe is here,
Good
let's
segue, Diane.
absolutely segue into that. So at, I think it was the last meeting in the spring, the board directed us just to begin investigating. So Gabe and I had a conference call with the Department of Education, with the person who's in charge of construction up there. And here's a little bit of what he told us. He said currently a turnkey project is $550 per square foot, but we should anticipate that that's going to be $600 per square foot in the near future. So an elementary school for approximately 900 students, you're looking at a square footage of about 125,000 square feet. So you're talking about a $75 million elementary school. That's the going price these days. The DOE would recommend 29 acres for an elementary school. That's what they would be pushing for. Something that Gabe investigated for us is how many acres do we have at the middle school? And right now we have 13.5 acres available at the middle school. So there was a question about, can you buy potentially any acreage around us? We don't know. That would have to be explored. But there was a question that was asked, and that by the DOE, it was like, make sure that the land is not designated as conservation land. And so I've checked into that. He gave me a name, I've spoken to someone, and we're clear, okay? So that's great news. So we don't have to worry about that. His recommendation, he said that there's another construction cycle opening in a year. He recommends that we hire a company, like an engineering firm, who works with school districts. Don't just hire someone who's never done this before, but an engineering firm who's worked with school districts. And he would recommend that we put together an application for all 6 of our buildings, given the age of the buildings. And that you submit an application to kind of get on file, right? And so having an engineering company would allow us to really investigate the status of our buildings. And he said that it would really help make our application more compelling than if we just do it ourselves. And once an application is submitted, the information in the application becomes grandfathered. So if we make improvements and we fix problems, that's not held against us in future applications. So you don't lose your spot going, oh, you fixed that problem, therefore now you're, at the bottom of the list. So I checked with Andrea, and you have $15,000 in the budget for engineering work. That's not a lot. That's not a lot.
Well.
But that's what we have for information. Anything else that you can add to that?
No, it's pretty much, the meeting we had with the state was very informative. We really need to look at hiring a firm that has done this before, and really go through our buildings with a fine-tooth comb and make sure everything is noted. And the big piece is it's grandfathered, so whatever's submitted and on there, if we do fix it in the future, it's not held against us, which is great.
What are do we know of the engineering firms that I feel like if part of their specialty is school districts, are they nice to school districts? They know that we
It's a
have
business.
money.
It's
I know it's a business, I know, but
we could go through the
it's
Department of
like-
Education, and they would give us a list of
Right,
companies that they've
right.
used that they like working with.
Sure,
or that they
sure.
respect.
We'll check you out.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Pat, when you said they recommend that we put all the properties into one package for evaluation, does that mean that they would recommend that we go for like a K through 12 consolidated school?
No, what they recommend is that we submit an application for each individual school.
Okay.
And then we inform them, if this is the wish of the board, you inform them that your intent would be to combine the 4 elementary schools. And that is something that you wish to do, and you make sure that they know that. And so that could make it more appealing. Keep in mind, there's just never enough money at the state level to pay for all of the construction projects that have been submitted. In years past, I don't have the number right off the top of my head. I think it's in the 40s or 50s that we have rated in the past when we've submitted an application for Pitts and Randolph. I think we're in the 40s and I think so, 47 or something out of all of them that were approved. And they fund maybe the top 7, 8. If you're looking at an elementary project of $75 million, they're not going to pay 100% of it. But they will, based upon your ED 279, they're going to pay close to 60% of it.
Good.
Right? If they approve it. So then the question is, if you go through this entire process, and what happens if you are back at 50, at 40, whatever that number is, then what do? Do you keep waiting and resubmitting every time the application door opens, right? And that's every few years. I don't know that there's a definite number of years in between their cycles.
Since we've done it.
Yeah, it has been a while, but I don't know exactly how many. It was well before COVID. So,
You have to
right?
That's when John-
reapply.
You have to reapply every single time, right? Or at that point, you guys will have to decide whether to push forward and try to do a locally funded project, if that's something that you're interested in. Again, we've mentioned in the past that without blinking an eye, we can come up with $1.2 million in savings without blinking an eye, if you only have one building versus 4. But I don't know if you were to do a locally funded, I don't know what a bond payment would be, right? So if it's $75 million, how much is an annual payment? Does that $1.2 million cover the cost of an annual bond payment? I don't know. And if it does, is that something you want to push forward, understanding that there would be really no cost savings to the public, right, in terms of their tax relief. But at the same time, there could be savings when you're not doing the repairs that we're talking about, the unanticipated repairs. And of course, the benefit to instruction, right? So those are all things that you're gonna have to think about and consider and give us some guidance on how you wish for us to proceed.
Didn't you say, Pat, at one time that the state sort of favors eliminating buildings? They'll kind of, that's a plus.
That's what I have heard. I don't, do you recall him saying anything like that?
Yeah, he mentioned about consolidating,
Yeah,
and that's always something they, I mean, it helps us out as a district in a whole, so I think that's why they favor that.
well, and they know there's a cost savings, and an operational cost system savings.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the cost of repairs are definitely not going down.
Right.
Everything is more and more year after year, and it's, the other piece that I hate to always bring up is the paving piece. I mean, if anyone's driven into the high school, it's not getting any better, that's for sure. The parking lot's really, really in bad shape, for sure.
So that was the other element to all of this. If you'll recall, last spring, I don't have the paperwork in front of me, so I don't remember. But some of, I think it was Representative Golden's office, right? He had access to some community money. And there was the potential that we could apply for like $1 million, $2 million. We have to demonstrate that there is value to the community. And the turnaround time for when they have the money available and they settle on the projects, it's only like 2 or 3 weeks, so you have to be on it. And the individual that I spoke with really encouraged us to do our homework now, right? And do whatever it is that we needed to do to be in a position where we could just apply for those funds. No guarantee we would get it, of course. Yeah, it was through his office. It wasn't through all of our congressional,
I think it was.
that all of them have access to this discretionary.
To the funds. It's
Yeah.
a short term, so it usually goes towards community-based projects, fixing parks and playgrounds and sports
Right.
fields and those community pieces, especially the high school. High school's a community center, it really is.
Right.
If we could wrap something in with the high school and really tie it into the community, and not just parking lot repairs, but maybe it's broader. And it ties in all these pieces, and hopefully we can get it packaged together. But yes, we would need to do, again, engineer work and proposals to be able to submit this. Somebody needs to be a good grant writer to do all this work. And the better the proposal is, the better chance we have of getting it. But it is a very short time frame. They're notified, it's basically whether it's leftover funds or whatever the funds are.
Sure.
They say we have this $2, $3, $4 million and we need to spend it in 2 weeks. And so you have to submit it like that. So you have to be really ready for it. Yeah, so it's gonna take some work ahead of time to be prepared for it, and hopefully we can get something.
I'd love to know more about it. That exact specific, like if you're like when it is and stuff like that, like when it comes up.
Yeah.
Like what we have to have in before it comes up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, I think that was the.
That's
they
what we
don't
need to
quite
find out.
know.
Yeah,
There's a certain stipulations, I'm not sure if that's when that's posted or how it all
Right.
works out.
I
You may be
still
able to
have,
search on
that's,
their websites for our representatives that may have information on it. Or who won the money this year and kind of
Yeah,
give an
what
idea of the
kind- I'd like
projects
to
that
know.
were done.
so I still have the paperwork from last spring, and I still have the contact
Yeah, I'd love
information
that.
from the woman that I spoke with, who offered any assistance that we needed to help guide us through that
Jared
process.
Cole and stuff.
So, I would be happy to bring that again to a finance committee meeting, so we could talk about it there.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Quick question for you, what's the point in all this sort of pre-planning discussion phase where we engage with the town managers and the town planning boards? Because, you know, depending on how you look at these sort of things, it's either like a yes, let's do it, or a don't you dare do it. So finding out that kind of attitude in advance would really help. Like, I can see a world where planning boards would say like, brand new school complex, fantastic, the property values will go up, people are gonna wanna move here, wonderful thing. Or don't you dare start, you know, adding parcels and moving stuff around and changing traffic flows and making my kids bus, you know, 10 miles. So where do they come into the conversation?
I think that's an excellent question, Cullen. I think that they should come into the equation earlier than later. And having a conversation with your head selectman or whomever, to begin kind of gauging their level of interest. I think you're right. If you as a board decide that you really want to move forward with this initiative, it's going to be important that you embrace your local officials. Make sure that you share with them what it is that you're hoping to accomplish and hopefully get them on board. But if they're not on board and they don't support the initiative at all, that is going to create a much larger hurdle for all of you in pushing forward an initiative of having one combined school.
Yeah, the appropriate information gathering, I can say to Pat met me when Randolph started and it was gonna close. I was like the irate parent ready to knock down her door, you know, her and Becky both. And then as I learned through the process, right? Like, just because we have a school doesn't mean we can run it. We still only get so much money. There's still all these things, you know. My kid was one of the ones in 3 grades in one classroom. I know, I think yours was there then too.
Yep.
So we like lived through it, but it was interesting. I mean, you certainly know, public is interesting. So I'm sure that'll be a whole thing. People will be like, well, if it's in Gardner, it's not over here. It's like, okay, but it's still a district thing. So you're right. It's
But what
gotta
we just
start.
heard is like a real
Yeah.
wake up call. It's like,
Totally.
okay, we can stay there. You're gonna have pipes coming through the ceiling.
That's
in a rotting
right.
building.
Exactly, exactly.
Right.
Let's have a real talk.
Yeah,
The property at the middle school does border West Gardner.
right.
So there's a potential if we do have to, potentially purchase some additional property. Maybe it could be across that the
Yeah.
actual school is in actually both
Yeah, yeah.
towns.
Yeah, yeah.
At least it's in 2 of our towns in the district
Right.
instead of,
I know,
Gardner's the like the hub, but it's at least it's right there. It's right, it does cross border 2 of our towns.
So
So it all depends on how that process.
this will be also on the next finance committee agenda.
Yep.
And so I will speak with Becky as chair, and I would really like to see some direction, some very clearly defined steps and direction that finance committee would like administration to take, if any, given the information that I've just shared, to pursue. And I do think on that list should be exactly what you're recommending and suggesting.
Yeah, like some data points about the issues, the money it's costing, all those things, yeah.
I
Do
think,
a listening tour.
Exactly,
yeah, well,
exactly.
kind of like how, when we talked about this last year, for just briefly, sort of in passing almost, Becky mentioned, like, why don't we just make a video? You know, why don't we just put all the information out there to the public, like the people who aren't watching now, just in a really easy to swallow kind of short form. This is exactly why your community is asking you to support a new school, and these are the benefits that you're gonna see. If it's not money, I mean, they're not listening anyways, probably. I don't know. I mean, if they're those kind of people, I'm just saying.
I just don't know that we're there yet.
I know, I
Right,
think
but-
that's a very, I'm just saying that's like, I feel like, that a goal, maybe a goal post where we can get, and that's something to think of it, instead of just thinking of it as like, I don't know, a
Right.
building, thinking of it as a community venture that we really do need buy-in, or else it will
Yeah,
never happen.
Right, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
and they are part of that accountability
I think so.
and the research.
I think
Yeah.
Yep.
Modular that it's new. Does this affect, like, is the water the
So
same or?
that water going to the modular is not affected by the problem that we're having in the main building. Yeah, just,
But-
it affects the main building.
Let's say having a modular there and having a modular at Helen Thompson will definitely support or, improve the
Yeah.
rating
Absolutely.
of
Right,
an
yeah,
application.
That would be a big piece.
I just
in
wanted to
the
make sure, like,
application.
okay, we have the modulars.
Right.
Is this also going to rot the floor or
Right, yeah.
are they leaking?
Yeah, the water situation over there for modulars is we're good.
They're pretty nice.
Okay, so we'll talk about this more in finance, and if you would be thinking about some of those concrete, specific next steps that you would like to see happen, so we can create a list.
That's good. That was a good one,
Maybe
Pat,
that-
the concrete.
Yeah.
That was good. Yeah, I know.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Great.
Wanna throw down.
No.
Thank you, Gabe.
Gabe, thank you very much, appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to recognize, the detail you put in, and all our staff here put in so much work and so much detail. As you're talking about kind of the scope of just the physical plant, like the locks to the the grounds to,
There is a lot to it.
there's a lot.
There's
every
a lot to
millimeter.
it. We have a lot of buildings.
Yeah.
Everybody hear that?
We have a lot of buildings,
Back to
and
that.
Gabe works really hard to
Yeah.
take care of all of them.
All right.
Let's see, yeah.
Yeah, so next, we need to set the substitute rates. So let's see, for this past year, the substitute rates for daily uncertified was 120. Daily, let's see, sorry, let me start again. Daily uncertified was 120. I'm gonna pull this up because my notes aren't very good. The daily certified was all the same. So it didn't matter if you were certified or uncertified, if you just go in for a day, it was about $120. The long term, if you were uncertified, was $150. And we also had uncertified teacher of record. We had that situation this past year where we had vacancies for a long period of time, so they were teachers of record, but we couldn't always find a certified teacher. So we had uncertified teacher of records, they were 180. My recommendation for next year, just given the market and everything, I would increase them all by $5. I don't think that that's significant. And so the daily uncertified would be 125, daily certified 125, the long-term uncertified would be 155, and the uncertified teacher of record would be 185. So that is my recommendation.
You can't.
We would, I know. I don't.
Do we need a motion
Yes.
for, okay, yeah, so if I could have a motion for Pat's recommendation?
Motion to approve the substitute rates for 2023-24 as described by the superintendent.
Thank you. So Cullen and Diane, second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor?
Great, thank you. All right, the tutor rates, the current tutor rates are $30 an hour for uncertified and $40 an hour for uncertified. We just increased those last year after a very long period of time. So my recommendation is just to keep those the same as the current year.
All right, do we need to vote?
Yeah, why don't you,
okay.
yeah.
Could I have a motion, please?
The motion to keep them the same?
Okay, thank you. Second, yep, with Molly. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Great, thank you. Annually, you're required to hire, or to approve rather, a school physician. Our school physician, for a number of years, we're really grateful and appreciative, has been from Gardner Family Medicine, and Abigail Hoke. Dr. Hoke has been kind of the point person for our nurses. So I would like to put forth Dr. Hoke's name in conjunction with Gardner Family Medicine to be the school physician.
I will make a motion for that.
Do it the other way. Molly, get the motion.
Yep,
And-
second,
or-
whatever, whichever way we're just
Yeah.
synced up,
Yeah.
that's all.
The kids say Bluetooth connection.
Pat, I don't want to break the quorum. I have to abstain from that because she sees my kids.
Oh, good point.
Oh,
Uh-oh, I didn't even think
that's
of that.
not necessary. No, that doesn't matter at all. I mean, if you're not comfortable, but that is not a conflict.
She's a great doctor.
For
I
full
know.
disclosure,
I
she's
have-
my doctor.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
she's a great doctor. I think for propriety, I'm still going to abstain.
Okay,
Yeah, so any further discussion? Thank you for sharing that. Nice job. No further discussion, all in favor? And you'll note the.
and I will note Cullen, yeah.
I think
It's not a no, it's an abstain.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you annually have to approve the truancy, a truancy officer in our district. Your building principals are your truancy officers. So we have Lauren Arnold at the Gardner Area High School, Sarah Sims at the middle school, Katie Gould at Helen Thompson, Vicky Duguay, Riverview, Tiffany Cockrell, Pittston Randolph, and Karen Moody, LER. So I need second.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Great, thank you. All right, the next one I'm gonna actually pop over to Angela, approval of a change to Gardner Regional Middle School from quarters to trimesters.
So currently, our elementary schools report on a trimesterly basis. And our high school reports on by semester. So when students go and families go from trimesters to then quarters to then semesters. So that is just a change that we were looking at streamlining. The amount of reporting that our middle school educators do is significant since they do quarters and then progress reports within the quarter. So every 6 weeks, there's significant communication going home, which, given the fact that Power School is also at the middle school level, fully open to parents to view the grading practices, and of course email and all that with staff. It just started to feel like we were asked, we just took an audit of our system and felt like while we want open, transparent, and ongoing communication between staff, students, and families as much as possible, we also want to be cognizant of what makes the most sense across the system. And there's an opportunity to streamline this. On top of the fact that we did some redesign of allied arts because of some staffing changes as a result of our recent budget, and we want to really maximize our allied arts opportunities for students. So we were doing like a block 8 AV day for middle school, which we won't be doing in allied arts this coming year. And we'd like to therefore have trimester-based experiences with the allied arts, which is it's longer than a quarter. It's a little bit more of a significant period of time to dive into the allied arts experience. The rotation model works better based on the number of staff we have in allied arts and the number of staff we have in our student body, the number of students we have in the population, in the school. So that seemed to work a little better, and it also will work better with our learning lab. The sequence that we're trying to move students with the learning lab. We identify students for support in the learning lab based on teacher recommendations, student need, achievement data from the fall, winter, and spring diagnostic assessments, and classroom performance data. By having trimesters, we're now lining back up to the timing when we receive information from those assessments. So just, again, just another opportunity for creating some synchronicity. So that's where we're at. We're asking if we can move towards trimesters. The Power School will still be visible as it always has been. We will still have honor roll. We will still have, grading practices. All those sorts of things will still be maintained. But the period in which we report would move from quarters to trimesters. We don't think that that's creating any negative consequences for preparing students at the 8th grade level for high school because they're going into semesters rather than quarters anyway. So it feels more natural
When would you implement this?
this year.
It's right now. My kid is already like, wait a minute, schedule, I don't get it. I'm like, you're fine, you're fine.
In a way, it's like for, rising sixth graders, they've already been doing trimesters, so it almost
Yeah,
wouldn't
they
be
won't even.
very different.
And honestly, the student experience, other than when they switch for allied arts,
Yeah.
probably is not gonna feel
Not
any
gonna-
different.
Yeah,
It's the
it did
number
feel
of
choppy, I would
hours.
say, other in the quarters, it was choppy, or, yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
It will line up a little better with your parent-teacher conference schedule too.
Gotcha.
So no more A day and B day, right?
The schedules were shared tonight, the principals.
Yeah, it was. They all got them.
In terms of what their thoughts
Sure,
are,
sure.
yeah. Yeah, they would go on a more traditional middle school schedule. We're really working hard at trying to analyze what works best with students. And so you're gonna see a little bit of an evolution from year over year. That's part of continuous improvement. So that's why that A day, B day piece is shifting again.
I don't mind.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense focusing on the students' impact on teachers.
They're comfortable with this move.
They,
Actually, it's a.
It must be
Yeah,
excited.
they're appreciative.
yeah.
I think anything that gives you more instructional time and less reporting requirements.
Right, yeah.
Right, focus on where you can move your grades.
Great. So let's see, we need a motion for this. Could I have a motion to approve the change to trimesters?
I move that we approve the change to trimesters at the middle school.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor?
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Then we have,
Unanimous.
yes.
Terry can hit the Power School button.
Well, no, because I had the camera facing Angela, so I
Oh.
Good call.
So we have a very long new business section, so let's move on to the last one. The last one actually has to do with the high school. If you recall, last year, we made some significant adjustments with our stipends. And some of the adjustments that we made pertain specifically to department heads. And so we have uncovered that we had a little bit of an issue that we need to correct. It had been recommended that world language really be added to guidance, career prep, and JMG. And we didn't really have anything for alternative education, learning lab. They were all kind of left out. So the administration has been looking at this at the high school. What they're trying to do is balance the size of the departments as well as really look at the individuals and the teams that are being created, what the content area is that's going to be on a particular department. So what is being recommended is a change to that. And so proposed would be to pull out world language by themselves and instead to create an SEL stipend. That would be guidance, career prep, JMG, alternative ed, and learning lab, so that they would be together. And so the size there would be comparable to the size of the other departments. Now, that means you're creating a brand new department head stipend that we haven't budgeted for. So the proposal is to not pay for a new stipend this year. It's something that we would build into the budget for next year. But in lieu of that, some time during the day would be allotted to whoever that department head is, to give them time to do the planning and work that would be similar to the other department heads who are being compensated. So that is a recommendation.
I move that we approve as described.
Second?
All right, any further discussion?
Just that will that go down well with faculty and staff? Does it seem fair that this is differently compensated than the other?
Yes. It's my understanding that Lauren has worked very closely with her staff, and they're happy about the change. There were some concerns prior to with the configuration. So they're pleased that it's going to be redesigned. It just makes more sense to them.
Okay.
And where was World Language Home?
They'll be by themselves, given the size of their department.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favor of this change?
Great, thank you. All right, no new business. And then for Becky, the only thing she put down here was the Maine State School Board Assembly Delegate. Remember, that is done in October.
I was just looking at that.
And it's actually the delegate, they meet on Saturday, October 21st. Historically, that has been done by Jim. And Jim has expressed interest in stepping back and not doing it again. I think he's probably done it and represented you for probably a good 5 years or so. So we are in need of a different board member. If there is anyone who is interested in serving as a delegate. Enclosed in your electronic packet are the proposed resolutions. And so what this means, if you offer to serve in this capacity, is that you would attend this meeting, this session, with other delegates from school boards around the state. You would discuss the resolutions that are being put forth, and then you debate and you vote. Sometimes these are pretty straightforward, easy. Other times you're there for hours with lots of rich conversation.
Robust.
So very robust. So is there anyone who is interested in serving in this capacity?
I would do it if there was not somebody else that was interested. How interested I am, Pat.
Okay,
That's not uninterested, but if there's somebody else interested,
And
that.
it's all electronic this year too, right? I'm just reading the
no,
email.
I don't know.
Yeah, it says, as a reminder, the delegate assembly will be held remotely via Zoom. It'll be on Saturday, October 21st, beginning at 9:30. Delegates must be technology savvy, which doesn't even make sense.
But you can wear sweatpants.
Yeah. You
There
can
you
have the
go.
business suit mullet going. I'm like Megan, I don't
Yeah,
mind being offering as well. It's got the emails here with all the resolutions.
Right.
So
That's
if you want to
fine.
offer to Becky a few names, I'm fine.
Well, we need a vote.
Oh, boy.
Oh. So you two need to fight over
No,
which
ready?
one of you. Let's go, Everly doesn't care.
Yeah,
I
right.
know, I would send her if it was me, but that's just because she's smarter.
That's true. No.
Alicia,
Yeah, it's okay.
Alyssa.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. If folks are in
She's
agreement.
way more tech savvy than me. That's true.
So Molly.
I remember that, Molly.
That was really
Yeah,
nice.
rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, it's all good.
Second,
Second, oh,
I
you
did the
voted,
motion.
I'll second it. Have a
Yes.
second. Motion tonight. I got a long name, I try to stay out of that.
That's so thoughtful.
Yeah.
Right.
all right.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna just say thank you both for offering and
Yeah.
obviously getting to this point. Any further discussion? Great, all in favor of Alyssa being the delegate?
Fantastic, thank you. All right, my report, hopefully mine's not too long. One, I wanted to bring to your attention, I ran this by Becky and Tony actually to get some guidance because I was up against a clock here. But I was notified by this France law group out of California. They are submitting a class action suit on behalf of schools regarding social media and the impact on students and on mental health. There's no cost to the district. They will be compensated should they win the lawsuit. They're the ones that also did the Jewel lawsuit, right? It's the same firm. And so I was provided guidance to submit our name to express interest in proceeding. At any time, if the board changes your mind, I can absolutely back out. And as I receive information, I will share that with you, okay? But just so you know, MSAD11 is a part of the social media litigation class action suit. Summer school program grant collaborative with the Boys and Girls Club. In your packet, I provided a DOE media release that speaks to this. But Angela, would you like to speak to it?
So the Boys and Girls Club is where our food nutrition program shifts to over the summer. And they have a wonderful active program all summer long. And they do hire a number of staff members for summer employment. And so when this opportunity sort of came up in
It's like last
June,
minute,
I mean, it was really last minute that it was posted. Ingrid and Holly requested an opportunity to kind of seize upon it. And really, we already have a strong partnership with the Boys and Girls Club through the 21st Century Learning Grant that we've had for many 5-year cycles now. And what the concept is to replicate that experience in a kind of summer friendly way at the Boys and Girls Club so that we could continue some academic programming for students to avoid the summer slide. And that we would pay close attention, especially to MSAD11 students between the grades 3 and 8. And so in collaboration, we received $33,000 for the grant, and that paid for some staffing and some materials to support this. Really exciting part is it wasn't just like small group instruction tutoring, but it was about really the whole child and really enabling the Boys and Girls Club to take what they do really well and wrap it around this instructional component by having field trips and a lot of enrichment, community partners. It was just a really, it basically just boosted their summer programming that they're already doing and allowing us to partner with them and benefit from the results by making maybe a smoother transition when the students come back to school. They have had a site visit from the Maine Department of Education over the summer in July. It went very, very well. So we hope that maybe this is the start of something we can continue, but we'll see.
And it certainly fits in with a strategic plan that we're working on, which is really building those community connections, right? All right. Update on the Memorial Day Parade in June. There was concern expressed by a board member that we did not have our band playing in the parade. So I have followed up on that. So the parade had not occurred for 3 to 4 years. So at the beginning of the school year, the band department, they will put out to all of the students the agenda for the year so that families when they plan their year, they know what community events and what nights the students are going to have to be committed to being at the school. So because it hadn't occurred for 3 to 4 years, it wasn't on the list, right? And when the department was informed in May-ish, middle of May, that it was going to happen towards the end of May, there just wasn't enough time to prepare the students. We don't have a marching band. So there has to be some practice,
That's
right, that is done. So that preparation, there wasn't enough time for that preparation to occur so that the students would be prepared to participate in the band. And again, families at that point had many had already scheduled activities for the Memorial Day weekend. Students had work schedules and were working through the weekend, so it just didn't work. So that's why MSAD11 was not represented there. But now that we know that the parade is going to continue and will be held in the future, we now have ample time to prepare, right? And we'll add it to the list of events so that families and students know, and there'll be ample time to prepare students to march. So, okay. Update on staffing. I included that summary in your packet. So you can see the hardest hit right now is special education. We still are in need of a middle school special ed teacher, a high school special ed teacher, various educational technicians. We need a couple more for the autism program over at Helen Thompson. We're down to 1 ed tech at Pittston Randolph for special ed. We need 2 more. So anyone out there who would love to work with our special ed department, they're amazing. It's great working with the students and the staff. Great benefits, good salary. We'd really encourage people to contact us and to apply. This shows under middle school an administrative assistant position, but that's been filled. Yeah, we're really excited to have Mark Houdlet.
That's gonna be amazing. They're gonna love him.
I know.
It's gonna be so cool.
Yeah, I know. And he has a very interesting background in running businesses and running what is the
gym?
Yeah, the businesses, but he ran in the in Augusta.
Like Ironman?
No, I'm sorry, in the military. What's the
Camp Keys?
Camp Keys.
Camp Keys. I think he ran Camp Keys.
Yeah.
For a number of years. So he does have that expertise. So that will be, I think, a great addition to the middle school. We are still, of course, looking for a bus driver. We are looking for an instructional math coach. And we do now have an opening for a music teacher at the middle school. So.
Where's this list compared to last year?
Feels like it's double.
It looks big.
I feel like we had more of our teaching positions filled last year by this time. We at least had all of our special ed teaching positions filled. We struggled last year with the instructional coach. We were never able to fill that position for math. We had to contract out. The ed techs, I'm not sure if we had this many open, but it kind of ebbs and flows. Right now we can hire an ed tech. They're here for a couple months and then they're off to do something different. So, and we're not the only ones in this position. As I speak with my colleagues, schools across the state, schools across the country are all seeing something similar. And we're hearing about news reports, right, that there's a teacher shortage, and we are definitely experiencing that here. So, and we're a great place to work, I think, right?
Yes.
I wanted to let you know that today, I lose track of time. I think it was today, could have been yesterday, that I have been notified by the state MEA that they are ready to begin bargaining for the food service staff in our district. Their contract ends August 31st, 2 weeks. And so
They're ready now.
They're ready. So we will begin when we begin, and that's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. And I think the last thing is, last week, the administrative team came together for last week. That was this week. That was this week.
Oh,
It was this
it's
week.
a long week.
We were together for 3 full days.
Wow.
You know, we started at 8 o'clock and we went until 4 o'clock, 3 full days. It was a fantastic session. We really worked on preparing for next year. We focused on our own professional development. We did some team building, given we have had some new administrators really join our team in the last couple of years. So the feedback was incredibly positive. So it went well. But that's what we've been doing. I think everyone was pretty excited today that we get back into their buildings, but and so that's my report.
Yeah.
Oh, October 5th. I checked it off here on my note without talking about it. October 5th. So we have a conflict for the October 5th school board meeting. Angela has worked with staff member, and thanks to funding from the United Way that we've received, that we're going to able to bring this woman, her name is Lynn Lyons. She is going to work with our staff on Friday the 6th, really focusing on managing anxiety in children. And while she is here, Angela has been able to secure a presentation to parents and to the community, which will be that night. Really amazing,
Very
right?
cool.
Very amazing. So do you want to speak about Lynn Lyons a little bit?
So she has, she's written a number of books. You can Google search her.
Yeah.
She does do presentations, and it's her field of study. And specifically, it's about proactively supporting people. We'll focus on student-aged people in our group, but on managing anxiety. In her approach is to not use avoidance behavior to manage it, but to how to develop processes and strategies in which you can learn to cope over time with the anxiety that you may experience. And we know that's on the rise, especially as after a couple of years of COVID. And so this is something that has been identified as a real need. She's going to engage with families and community in an evening, and the Boys and Girls Club is partnering with us. And some of the student groups are partnering with us so that we can also, we're working, this is not, we think we've got this almost figured out. We're going to be offering childcare services and a dinner prior to the event so that you can come in, have dinner, have your child at the Boys and Girls Club, and be at the high school for the hour-and-a-half session with Lynn Lyons. So that's the goal. We have a lot of material, communication materials that we'll start pushing out soon once all the partners have all looked it over and made sure we dotted our I's and crossed our T's properly. So that is really exciting because it's taking a lot of effort from lots of parties. And then, as Pat said, Friday they'll work, Lynn will work with the full staff, but then she'll also do a deep dive with our mental health team, administrative team, and special ed team, who have the most points of contact with students in a more intensive way who are coping with anxiety. And then we'll also continue it throughout the year because the grant allows us to buy some of her books and access some of her online materials. And we'll conduct ongoing continuous learning sessions, kind of as an opt-in model. Those who feel like they could benefit the most will participate. There'll be other options for other people who want to participate in other learning themes.
So many of us want to be available to attend.
Totally.
And so I am inquiring whether you would be open to having us change the board meeting from October 5th to October 12th, maybe just the following Thursday.
Yeah, fine with me. I think that's wonderful.
Okay. All right, so if you can mark your calendars, the board meeting in October then will be 6:30 on the 12th.
And please do feel free to join us on the fifth.
Oh, please. Absolutely. What time will that be at?
Anyone.
On the 5th, that will be like evening time, same-ish time.
Yeah,
Yep.
it'll be, I think it's 6 to 7:30 or something like that. We'll have lots and lots of different types of communication that will go out.
Yeah.
Are you gonna stream the parent event as well?
Oh, that's a good idea.
I don't know if her contract.
It's after?
allows for that.
It is after.
Oh, that might be, yeah, because it's her engagement.
But
She's
she'll
here
have a
to-
number of
Policy to the
podcasts
12th
yeah,
as
she's
well.
on
Yeah.
YouTube that are available, that are really, I found really
Yeah.
helpful.
She's a licensed clinical social worker. It looks like
Yes.
she's got a good.
Is she here
Yeah.
Thursday? There's no
Yes.
school Friday. And is there school Friday?
I'll tell you right now.
The 6th. There is no
No,
school on the
no.
6th.
That's a workshop day.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like concerned with attendance then?
Oh, because of the.
On the
long
night of the
weekend.
5th?
Yeah, so our option was to have it on Friday night, which is football night. There's a
It's
big
football night and it's
game
Friday.
night.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
So our only other option is to do it
And that's actually
Thursday
a saving
night.
grace for us too. right?
Yeah, and so the
Yeah,
contract
totally.
originally had her coming Friday, but she negotiated with us to shorten Friday a little bit and extend Thursday, and she's willing to stay in the area.
Okay. I was just concerned people would leave Thursday.
I know, yeah, me too. I'm just really hopeful people are sticking around for those fall games.
Yeah, maybe.
Football game.
True.
Right.
Now, if I could only get like homecoming or something that same night, then we'd be all set. I'll stick around, but that's not my gig.
But we will certainly be advertising and putting that information out and encouraging anyone in the community who's interested to
Yeah, I
attend.
think it'll start really coming out after school starts, like after Labor Day. We don't wanna kind of get mixed up too much in the middle of the launch of school, but we wanna give people lots of advance notice.
And obviously, that's in the strategic plan too. That's another good
It is.
initiative and checks
Absolutely,
off a big one.
Well,
Yeah.
it can-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Promote the family fun for kids and, tease it with that.
Yeah, the night one, she's actually gonna very specifically talk about home, like home to school communication and home strategies. So if you're
Nice.
feeling this way as an adult or a student, what are some things?
And that then is all I have. So thank you. Thank you, Angela. So we do have an executive session. There is the possibility that we will come out with action, Terry, following the executive session. Okay.
Motion to go
We just
into
need to make a motion to go
executive
in.
Boy, we gotta,
But
Motion,
Let's,
go into executive session.
and second, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
okay, great.
So,
I don't think it will take too long, Terry.
Okay.
Angela, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Angela.
it.
Thank you.
Good night. Okay, so there is a motion that needs to be made coming out of executive session. Chris, do you want to make it?
Wrote it down.
I make a motion to accept the proposed change to the custodial contract to make the head custodian's compensation whole.
Second.
A second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Awesome, thank you. And that's a wrap.
We are adjourned.
Colin, what will those?
Thank you, everyone.
those little creatures that
Terry,
go around
thank
the
you.
plane? They must cost something too.
Oh, they sure do.
Yeah.
But you think about like the payback window, and the fact that like,
Just volume.
if you're at 200 seats, that'll help. You know, you have 2 of those,
So-
things cycle through the building nonstop.